What's up, everybody? This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to Commissioner's Clubhouse on the LCC Network for week 12 of the LCC offseason. We have made it, 3 months into the offseason already. It's pretty crazy how fast things have flown by. And as you see on the screen, this is like a one-trick pony type show. We have got one topic and one topic only, and that is the 2022 LCC Games of the Week previews. The first 3 games of the week have already been pre-planned just because even at the time, like going into week 1, if you waited that long to pick, there's still no clear leader or clear like best matchup per se. So it just makes sense to go ahead and pre-pick probably the first 3 weeks based off the schedule already being built for the most part. I still have about maybe 3 more weeks to plan out before the schedule release next week. So got a little work there to do. But it should be a cool episode this week and next week, especially next week. Next week, it's not going to be just me on the show. It's going to be a whole team of people. A couple new I almost said new faces. You won't see them. New voices, I guess you could say. So it'll be a pretty awesome and big announcement coming out too about the LCC. But before we get into that, just as a reminder, everyone, if you know anyone who might be interested in joining, even if they've never played IDP before, let me know because we're still trying to fill the last 2 to 3 spots we have left in the league. And also, of course, officially kick off the developmental league. I was hoping that we would have the numbers to do that as we get closer to May. We'll see. If things stay the way they are now, obviously that won't happen. We'll have to push it off to 2023. But so let me know if there's anyone out there that you're interested in bringing into the league. Again, it doesn't matter if they have any IDP experience or not. So let's get into it. So before we actually dive into the week 1 preview, the schedule format has really not changed at all from last season, wherein the first place team from your division will play all of the first place teams in the other divisions throughout the season. They'll play all of them, plus they'll play the 2 second place teams from the other 2 divisions within their conference, and then they'll play everyone in their own division, twice. So that's kind of the format of the schedule. The first 3 weeks comprise mostly of just non-conference games and divisional matchups. So you won't see any out-of-division conference games in the first 3 weeks. You shouldn't, at least. And then after that is when we get into conference play that's not divisional play after probably like week 4, and with some non-conference games too. Everyone's got at least 3 non-conference opponents. Some people will face some of the same teams they had last year just because, if you finished first place in your division last year and another guy did, well, of course they're going to play that person this season. And the games of the week, the first 3, I wanted to limit it to at least to only teams, who made the playoffs last year in 2021, and then go from there, right? I mean, it makes sense to award the teams who performed best. Now, I didn't really build the schedule with games of the week in mind after week 1. The only one that the schedule you could kind of say was built around was a rematch from last year's playoff, at least one, and I think it'll be a good one. That's pretty much the format of the regular season schedule. So based off that formula, you could actually probably figure out your own opponents now if you really wanted to. You're not going to know the weeks you play them, but So let me know if you guys have any questions about this later on when you're listening or after you're done listening. Also, let me know your thoughts of the games of the week. I think they're pretty good, pretty solid. I try not to be biased, although I might get, I don't know, I might get accused of some bias in probably week 2, but I don't want to ruin anything. So let's move on to our first LCC game of the week of the 2022 season. All right, our first one. This is a big one. Oh man, sorry, my allergies are killing me. Week 1, we've got a rematch from the 2021 Little Critter Bowl between the Spurs and Beg for G-Reg. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Cameron Nugent versus BP in a big. I would kind of want to say this has become somewhat of a loose rivalry. I mean, Peyton and Cameron know each other. Obviously, they went to school together. They're still friends today, and neither of them are in school anymore. So, yeah, I mean, this is it's kind of a non-conference rivalry that's developed over the past couple years. It may not be as intense as some others, but I think it holds its own respect, especially considering both of these teams played each other last season. And in fact, last year was the second time they've played each other since BP joined the league. They're actually tied 1-1 in head-to-head. Funny enough, Cameron won the last one, of course. We all kind of know that. Cameron won in the Little Critter Bowl, won 198 to 168 in a relatively low-scoring game, in my opinion, especially for BP. I mean, he was a favorite. He's looking for revenge. I mean, that's kind of the storyline going into this matchup here. And then the last time they played before that was Week 8, 2019. Beg for G-Reg defeated the Spurs 304 to 298 in a very close game. Now, I think both of these teams are actually in great positions to perform well this coming year. I think that both those guys know what they're doing, of course. I mean, you don't just accidentally make a Little Critter Bowl, in my opinion. There's some skill there. There might be some luck involved, of course. There always is in fantasy, but you can't deny that there is a skill component there. So the fact that both of these guys have done it, Cameron has won 3 straight. He's at a Hall of Fame GM, so of course we know what to expect there. But on the flip side, BP, we already knew he was good before last season, but we now know he is good, for lack of a better word there. But when you look at both of these teams, they both went out and traded their quarterbacks away, believe it or not. Tom Brady went bye-bye, and same with Josh Allen, who left Beg for G-Reg last season. I'm actually trying to pull up their rosters right now. Here we go. All right. Let me scroll down just a tad here. Pull Beg for G-Reg. Hang on, Taxi Squad. Here we go. Perfect. Sorry, no, they traded for Josh Allen this season. I got that mixed up. But anyways, traded their quarterback, basically just swapped, and got Jonathan Taylor, of course, and Budda Baker. All three are guys that should be good. I don't think it doesn't have high expectations for any of them. Budda Baker did get kind of banged up at the end of last season. But Budda has been pretty consistent. He's 26 years old, still a young guy, and should be a staple in the league for as a safety, and a clear-cut starter for Beg for G-Reg for sure going into the season. We have to assume those are the 3 keepers unless something crazy were to happen or made another trade. But he doesn't really have anyone else worth keeping. Myles Garrett is obviously solid, but he's not going to keep him over what he's got. So, that's a great foundational piece for Beg for G-Reg. I'm interested to see how he builds his roster in the offseason around that. Cameron doesn't have a quarterback right now, the Spurs. They actually traded Tom Brady away for a draft pick. They're obviously planning to go get Deshaun Watson waiver wire. I don't think there's anyone speculating if Cameron's going to do that or not. I guess it's possible he could trade the 101 in the offseason waiver wire away, but I think that's highly unlikely. But the Spurs have Derrick Henry, of course. Derrick Henry is most people's top 3 running back in fantasy. A lot of people have him at the number 1 still, despite the injury. He's got Chris Godwin. He's got DeMarcus Lawrence. I don't think he's going to keep him. He's got Alex Singleton, Denzel Perryman. Cameron is adamant about Denzel Perryman being a top 12 guy. I think Cameron would probably even argue he's a top 3 guy, although I think most people in the league don't really believe that he is that. Not that people believe Cameron believes that, but I don't think anyone else considers him to be that good of a linebacker. But the Spurs have Jesse Bates, of course, as well. So kind of a similar foundational piece where both guys got both teams have great running backs. Both teams have a great safety. The difference is that Beckford G-Rag is going to be going into the offseason without a true linebacker. But I think that's fixable. That's something that he can address in the rookie draft or maybe even just the regular draft, depending on how things go there. I'm not going to bother picking who I think is going to win these matchups, by the way. I mean, we're talking about 3-man rosters, really. So, going into the keeper deadline next month. So I'm not going to pick, but I do think this is a great matchup, an opportunity for BP to get some kind of solace and maybe pulling out a victory over Cameron. But, this is big. You never want to start the season out 0-1, and you'll see it next week when the full schedule release comes out. These guys have tough schedules. To start out 0-1 in this league for them could be a big deal. You don't want that. And plus the bragging rights are involved too. So it should be a top-notch matchup there in week 1. And I'm looking forward to it. So let's go into our second one. And this is the one where I told you guys someone might accuse me of some bias here. But honest to God, and you'll see it next week. I'll say that again. You'll see it. This is really the best matchup that we had without picking another team multiple times in the first 3 weeks. And that's Roebuck Leprechauns, myself. My name's Patrick, for those who may not know. I think everyone knows that, though. Versus Afternoon Delights Jordan, who's my co-commissioner. We have kind of like a friendly rivalry. Neither of us really talk that much junk, but Jordan is a thorn in my side always in fantasy and vice versa. I think he could say as well. We have a rich history. We both started this league in 2010. You can actually go all the way back to high school was when we did this. The year before, in 2009, I remember we were in civics class in high school, junior year, and 2009, that would be junior year, yeah. We were sitting there talking about just how we liked fantasy football. Both of us were, we should start a league next year. And, one thing led to another. And, even a year ahead of time, we were talking about our grandiose ideas for the league and stuff. I don't think either of us ever pictured a podcast, especially one running for 5 years, essentially. But, Jordan and I, we love this league, of course. This is our baby. We've put everything we got into this thing, and it's been a lot of fun. And I think Jordan would say it we wish the best for each other in real life, but in fantasy football, we just want to beat one another. So, a rich history there between the two of us, especially in the postseason, or not postseason, just regular season. This is really when we mostly played each other in the past. I'm trying to figure out when we played. I want to say it was probably week 11. Let me check. When was the last time we played? Roebuck Leprechauns. Let me find myself. Yep, it was week 11, actually. So currently I lead the series 8-5. Jordan actually won the last game. He won 233 to 209. And I had won the game before that. And what's interesting enough about our history is that I don't think either one of us have swept the other one in a season. Not the regular season. The regular season, that's happened. Actually, Jordan swept me in 2020 in the regular season, but I beat him in the playoffs and got my revenge when it really mattered most. but it's kind of always been back and forth. The last time before that either of us swept each other was 2011, our second our second year running the league. I swept him, then he swept me in 2020. 2022 is going to be another battle. I think both of us feel confident about our teams. We're both in great positions right now. We have decent amount of draft capital as well. Plus, we have relatively early waiver wire picks in the offseason. So it's going to be a battle. It's currently a battle. I feel like in the offseason, us trying to outmaneuver one another. Not that we're trying to derail the other person, but when we're making moves, I'm like, all right, I need to make sure I can counter whatever Jordan throws at me whenever I play him. This just happens to be week 2. We don't know the NFL schedule, so we don't know player matchups yet, of course, and that this is done intentionally so that there wouldn't be any bias in that. But Jordan has Pat Mahomes. He traded for him. He actually did a quarterback swap, and he's got Nick Chubb at running back. He's got Deontay Johnson at receiver who could keep. He also has Brian Burns and Josh Allen. I'm surprised he hasn't traded one of those guys. I mean, these are top 12 defensive linemen. He's got 2 of them. He also has Devontae Campbell. I'm guessing Jordan is pretty high on him because he tried to do a swap with me with linebackers, and I wasn't having it at the time. So that's a possibility. He could keep him. He's got Jamal Adams, Adrian Amos, Antoine Winfield, who I traded him last year. So Jordan has plenty of options to keep. Who he keeps is a different story. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him make some more moves this offseason with trades. And, myself, I'm currently rostering Tua. I traded for him and traded away Jalen Hurts, who was my quarterback from the previous year. I've got Joe Mixon at running back, and the only other person worth noting that I'm definitely keeping is Jordan Brooks, who I value as a top 3 linebacker this year in IDP formats. I just think he's going to be a tackle siphon on that defense. But I think it's a pretty even matchup for the most part. I mean, he definitely beats me at quarterback, but I think I can make up for that in other areas, especially with my draft capital. I should be able to put together a good bit of depth this offseason, which I'm excited about. But I think this would be a top-notch matchup for week 2. I think it's well-deserved for week 2 as well. So let's move on to our last matchup here. And this one is in week 3, of course. Baby Got Dak. I really need to get a sound drop. I think I'm just going to do Baby Got Back as a sound drop for Colby, who also, by the way, got into the Hall of Fame most recently as a GM. And the third leg, Charles, who just came out of nowhere last season. I shouldn't say no one expected him to do good last year, but no one expected him to be as dominant as he was. But unfortunately for him, he literally went all in for 2021. He had an early exit in the playoffs, but then, he goes and makes some moves to get some of those picks back that he traded for 2022. He now has Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Alvin Kamara running back, which I traded him. I don't know if Alvin even plays this year, but we'll see. Some people think he will. Even if he does, I'd imagine he gets like a good old-fashioned 8-game suspension, I would say. And he's got Chase Young, who I also traded him. I don't know if he keeps Chase Young, but he also has Micah Parsons, who he will get to keep for free at linebacker. That dude is definitely the future of IDP for sure. Micah Parsons. Charles, if you're listening, I would not trade Micah Parsons for $1 million this offseason if I were you. I would keep him for free, take that man and ride him off to the sunset. He is going to be dominant, and he'll be dominant for a long time, in my opinion. Great divisional matchup, though. Great divisional matchup. I mean, both guys were neck and neck for the, now Front Yard Conference East Division, but at the time it was Conference A Division. These guys just really, it was just a battle. It's the best way I can describe it, honestly, between the two of them. When you look up, I keep forgetting. So, Baby Got Dak was Mr. 300 for a very long time. And, of course, he's a Hall of Fame GM. The dude is literally, he's 86 and 58 overall in his career in the LCC. He won the division last year. But the thing with Colby, he has never won back-to-back divisions. In fact, he hasn't made back-to-back playoff appearances since 2019. Last in 2020, he went 6-6, barely missed the playoffs. Actually, was in the red for point differential. Definitely going the wrong way there. But Colby is a guy who tends to be, I don't want to say volatile year to year, but he's definitely kind of like, if he has a good year, I don't know why, but it's like the next year there's like a little dip, and I don't think it's pre planned or anything by him. I just think that it's just bad luck, I guess you could kind of say. But he's actually owns Charles. He is 7-2 versus Charles. Has outscored him by over like 250 points all the time. I mean, it's a one-sided series in the regular season. They've never played each other in the postseason, so no history there. But I expect this to be a very competitive game in Week 3. Again, we don't know the bye week, so anything could happen really there. And, like, stuff just happens in general. But I think Charles is a decent. He made some moves, got some more picks. Again, I don't consider Alvin Kamara as a viable option at running back this year for at least the majority of the fantasy year. But I do think Chase Young adds a lot of value in defense. Micah Parsons does too. Jalen Hurts, of course, is going to get a lot of points rushing. So I think you got to be worried about him if you're playing him, Colby. Colby's got Dak Prescott, of course. His team's named after him. He's got Dalvin Cook and Cam Akers. He only can keep one player. I'd imagine he keeps Dalvin Cook. He also has Cooper Kupp, Joey Bosa, Bobby Wagner, who's now a Seahawk, Logan Wilson, who I think a lot of people are high on this offseason. And then at safety, he's got Tracy Walker, who was pretty solid last year as well. So another great game, honestly. And Week 3 was actually kind of a tough call. And really Week 2 was as well. It's just, again, I didn't want to pick anyone multiple times in the first 3 weeks. So I wanted to spread the love there for games of the week. I think it just balances things out. Like, if you're talking about the same team predominantly throughout the entire year, it just kind of gets old and stale, and people get tired of hearing it. So, I'm hoping everyone enjoys the setup of the regular season, especially when you see the full picture and everything next week. I'm excited about it. I think next week's episode is going to be great. I know I'm hoarse now. My allergies are killing me, as you've heard throughout the entire show. So I got to call it a night, guys. It's kind of a short episode, but I think it was definitely solid seeing the first 3 games. It gets me pumped. We're just that much closer to the regular season. And again, if you know anyone that wants to join the league, we got 3 spots open in the Front Yard Conference. Let me know, and we'll get them hooked up. Well, I'll see you guys next week. Best of luck to. I don't know why I said best of luck. I guess when I'm talking about like regular season matchups, I'm already thinking that a game's going on. So never mind. I'll catch you guys next week. Looking forward to it.